Mr. Ronnie, citizen of the world from New York, has lived in Germany, Belgium and many of the states in America. Currently lives in Krasnoyarsk, Russia. A teacher of English, teaches children to speak fluently, also an actor, singer, rapper, artist, proofreader, computer tech and a father. And that is his real job. A communicator with a special skill of listening.
La 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 la. Why can't we be friends? 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 I kinda like to be your president, so I can show you how your money is spent. Thank you, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Mic is test, test, test. Okay. Okay. I would like to say Happy Women's Day, International Women's Day, to all the women here today. Also, I would like to say Happy Masleniца pancake. How do you say it? How do you say it? How do you say it? Masleniца. Yeah, my Russian. Why can't we be friends? Well, on behalf of all Americans, I sincerely would like to apologize. Apologize for the deployment of weapons of mass destruction on the Russian economy. The intercontinental KBMs. I'm talking about KFC, Burger King, and McDonald's. Oh, boy. We're going to destroy you 1 calorie at a time. Now, you can laugh, but in about 5 years, you're going to see some of the fattest young Russians running around singing, I'm loving it, I'm loving it, I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Okay. Now, why can't we be friends? Well, first of all, the language. I personally struggle with the Russian language. M, V, T. What the hell was St. Sirius and St. Methodist thinking when they wrote that stuff? Oh, boy. Now, I would like to introduce you to someone. This young lady back here, and this is my wife. Her name is Yulia. Yuya. I still can't pronounce it. Okay. Now, if you want to blame someone for my inability to speak Russian, there she is. Blame her. Blame her. Go ahead. Okay. When we lived in America, I used to have huge parties, and I would have a lot of friends over, and many Russian friends. And I wanted to impress those Russian friends with Russian greetings. So I asked my wife to help me, and she did. So she taught me some Russian greetings, and I couldn't wait to introduce these to my friends, Masha, Dasha, Sasha, Pasha, and of course, Natasha. Well, that day came, and one by one they entered. And I'd say, and I see a kid him like, Huli Perperso. Zakunis. Shh, don't listen to this. Zanitsa. So, Suka. Black. I've never heard from them again. So this is my issues with the Russian language. Have you ever, and I was thinking that this is an international audience. Is there anyone from someplace other than Russia here? Raise your hand. Show your hand. Okay. Okay. One person? It's all Russians here? Oh, okay. Yeah, we are in Russia, aren't we? Okay, so basically, the lost my train of thought here. Hello. Okay. Now, my question: have you ever shopped in Russian magazines? Show of hands. Yes. Okay. Now, in Russia, you call shops magazines. Russians shop in magazines. We jack off in them. So the translation is a little different here. Now, I'll tell you a story. Recently, I went to buy a pair of jeans, and I went into one of the Russian magazines. And as I walked in, the woman, the salesperson, greeted me, and I found the pants, and she directed me to the dressing room. So I walked back to the dressing room, and I looked back, and she was following me. And I said, okay. I mean, not that I'm not used to being followed. As a black man in America, you walk into any store, everybody's watching you. Surveillance cameras, store detectives, a closed-circuit TV, CNI dogs, everybody is watching you. So I'll go into the dressing room, and I try on my jeans. These jeans, in fact, here, and I came out with the pants unbuttoned a little. I wanted to see how they looked in the big mirror. And as I stepped out of the dressing room, I looked to my left, and there's the sales lady staring at my crotch. She says, "No cock." I looked down to see exactly what she was looking at, and I said, "Beg your pardon?" And she said, again, "No cock." So I got very angry. I said, "Devushka, if you paid more attention to my small hands than my crotch when I walked in here, you could have saved yourself a walk." Nigga Gavari. So, okay, help is on the way. As some of you learned tonight, that I am a teacher in the kindergarten. And I teach young Russians excellent English, articulate English, and they're going to be some of the leaders of your future, of their future, but of your country later in life. And it's a trade-off. They actually help me also. They teach me new and exciting language. They told me that this language is actually going to help improve my Russian, and I should share it with all of my American friends. They taught me keywords like pichka and poof and kakashka. And I can't wait to use this language. So, nigga Gavari. Okay, now, one of the real reasons that we can't get along, seriously now, is because of what's called the Red Scare. Have you guys ever heard of this? Anyone ever heard of Red Scare? Red Scare. Okay, yeah, exactly. They in America, they told us that the Russians are going to nuke us, scared the shit out of us. So we, you want to know what they prepared us to do for these nukes? You want to know? They told us, listen, they showed us films of nuclear explosions, and they said, they marched us into the classroom, and they told us to hide under these impenetrable barriers called school desk. Yeah, exactly, no shit. They told us to hide under the school desk, and there's explosion and fallout happens. You won't have a problem. Nigga Gavari. But started with McCarthyism. A Republican senator named Joseph the Drunk McCarthy decided that he was going to even the score with the Democrats and the Republicans. That the Republicans, the Democrats were controlling the House and the Congress and making all the laws, and the Republicans needed a way to change that, reverse that. So what he created was the Red Scare. And he said that the C word, shh, had infiltrated the radio guild, which was back in our modern day Congress. Communism. You know, as all Americans know, you guys are still communists. We all know this. Nigga got so Americans are really infatuated with the alphabet. We have the C word, the N word, the F word, and now the damn T word. Nigga got I'm talking about Donald Trump, the T word. Good grief. Okay, so I went through the same school system as Donald Trump in New York. He was in the upper class. My poor black ass was in the lower class. Poverty stricken like a motherfucker. Okay. Now, that didn't go over nicely here. Okay, let's try it again. Now, the okay. Now, what's up with this new Cold War? As if the old Cold War wasn't bad enough. You want a Cold War, bring your ass to Siberia. That's a Cold War for your ass. After that, you won't want another. Okay? All right, thank you. Now, what are your questions? Thank you. Okay, I'm opening up the floor for questions, and feel free to ask any questions that you want.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. It was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant lecture. Let's once again give a hand of applause to Ronnie, Mr. Ronnie.
Thank you, thank you.
And has anyone got questions? We can ask a couple.
Welcome school. Welcome school in academic Oregon. Yes, in Russia. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, come on, you got a question? This is your opportunity.
Feel free.
Feel
to
free.
Ask. Yeah. Okay.
You and I?
Oh,
I recognize you now. I'm sorry. I meet so many people. You know, first of all, I want to tell you that Russian people are wonderful. And I've never experienced so much love and attention and happiness that I've had since I moved to Russia. And I meet so many people. And I recognize you, and I didn't realize you worked next door to me. So we can actually talk after this if you like, and I'll introduce you to my wife so you don't have any ideas.
There's
okay,
one
more
question. Yes.
I might have skipped this part, but where in New York did you grow up? Yeah, I'm right above there.
Okay.
No, maybe over there.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Yeah, where in New York did you grow up?
Where in Europe did I grow up?
In New York.
Oh, in Jamaica, New York. Jamaica,
that's
Queens.
cool.
Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, they're all New York City. So when anyone says they live in the city of New York, they could be in any one of those 5 boroughs. Okay?
Hey, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Once again. And now let's get down to some serious business. Please, intro.
Dear passengers, welcome on board. Our spaceship called Planet Earth is making its flight as a part of the solar system through the Milky Way galaxy. You are served drinks, comfortable climate conditions, and the whole variety of pleasures. The planet is at your disposal. Please try not to destroy it during the journey. We kindly ask you to turn off your mass destruction devices. Please refrain from genocide of Jews, Armenians, Gypsies, and all the other passengers. Don't offend nerds, robots, and people that are mentally different. Be careful with artificial intelligence too. There are no emergency exits on our ship, so if something goes wrong, we're all fucked. In case of common sense and the self-preservation mechanism's failure, provide cold reason, first for yourself, then for the children. And now, please meet our cabin crew. Welcome the first speaker of our conference. Alexandra Merkulova, urban planner at SVP Architecture and Stedenbouw, the Netherlands. Was born in Krasnoyarsk and lived there half of her life. The other half has been divided over 3 cities: Moscow, Stockholm, and predominantly Utrecht. After simultaneously obtaining 2 master degrees in Marhi and in KTH, moved from Sweden to the Netherlands, where she has been living for the last 10 years. Alexander designs new residential and mixed-use districts, turns factories into livable environments, and makes sure design process doesn't lack the insights of residents and stakeholders. Her favorite activity is thinking of crazy ideas and making them work.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Merkulova and I'm an urban designer at the Dutch design bureau SAP Architectuur in Steepau. And tonight I'm going to talk about the global challenges from our professional point of view. So the urban survival. And the main challenge is to become friends to our planet in order to make sure we are allowed to stay here a bit longer. Probably some of you heard the quote that believed to be of John Salk. If all insects were to disappear from the earth, within 50 years all life on the earth would end. If all human beings disappear, all forms of life would flourish. But let's go a bit more specific on that. As rapid as now, we have never developed. Just 20,000 years ago, 400,000 people inhabited the planet. 10,000 years ago, Neolithic revolution started that shifted people towards engineered future. As the response to global warming climate from the last ice age, we started to build urban structures and fixed agricultural structures. It gave rise to advanced civilization. Modern science brought much deeper understanding of a physical environment, enabling a new level of engineering of natural environments. It provoked industrial revolution and, as a result, greatly expanded the urban centers. Global economy of services and technologies emerged. The city population growth exponentially. Before 1800, less than 10% of all people lived in cities. In 100 years, it doubled and reached 20% by the beginning of 20th century. Another 50 years resulted in another 10% growth. Today, 50% live in cities, and the prediction is that by 2050, up to 60% of world population will live in the city life. Right now, cities welcome around 1 million new inhabitants each week. And in just 40-50 years, that will become 2.5 billion people in total. So cities with its global social and economical networks, a variety of services attract people. The uncontrolled urban growth brings along some problems like social and environmental transformations, slums, inequality, health and education issues, poverty, noise and air pollution, consumption of non-renewable resources, waste management issues. Basically, we identified for ourselves two problems that reinforce each other: the rapid urban growth and accelerated climate changes. And we shouldn't underestimate the second one. There are serious concerns that just over 100 years some developed countries will go under the water, and the climate change in Africa and Middle East will generate massive streams of climate migrants. It sounds like a doomsday scenario, but our grandchildren can face huge lack of food supply, epidemic, global wars, economic collapse, poisoned water and air. So what shall we do to change the future? We will catch the train and turn the problem of global warming in our advantage. What can we do already now, today, to anticipate upcoming issues and turn challenges into opportunities? Well, we should clearly reinvent the city, rethink the meanings and create a different way of living for our own good. The Netherlands, a country where I live and work, is one of the first on the list to go under the water. Here we experience the climate change in everyday life, and here people are getting more and more aware about the changes that should and will happen. Maybe that's the reason why the government, citizens, municipality, professional scientists, artists do the first steps to the resilient and sustainable cities. And that's what we do. Now, at first, of course, we try to diminish the CO2 emissions. There are many ways to do that, but we see cities as ecosystems where environment and social and economical factors go hand in hand. So if you consider a level of comfort of city, then controlling the transport behavior is the most efficient. Growing population means densification, which means more people need affordable and efficient way of getting around. In the 20th century, cars were a preferred mean of transport. If car use doesn't react on urban changes, the city gets stuck in traffic. The quality of public space will suffer, pedestrian routing will be altogether it's socially, environmentally and physically not healthy. In the 21st century, the focus shifted to electric public transport. It has its advantages not only from environmental point of view. We get a better understanding of city, more social eye-to-eye contact. It is safe and more healthy. People are stimulated to move more. Environmental health is economical health of the city. So taking care of a living environment is rather an investment than a cost. Secondly, we make friends with the nature and design nature inclusive cities. We are part of nature and it would be silly to neglect it. We are not struggling against heat stress or flooding. We include it into our systems and let it shape the cityscape. Bats are our good friends, and we even build hotels for them, making sure that they are not leaving the cities. The bees, by the way, too. We give out valuable parking lots in residential districts to mini forests. In the end, driving car is so last century. We try to create a new agriculture, and this is the third step. On one hand, more people mean bigger demand of supplies, and on the other hand, with changing climate and lack of space, it is getting more difficult to produce needed amount of food. We need high-tech solutions and eating behavior corrections to make cities self-sufficient in food production. Recent years, urban farming is getting more and more popular here, and we have an ambition to turn hobby into new form of agriculture and fortify the urban-rural cooperation. And of course, we think in long terms. We dream about cities of tomorrow, try to imagine what they are like and shape the future. But we also understand that a city is not only a result of strategies that you think of. It's not only the decisions made by politicians. The quality of city life indicates how successful the marriage between public and private sectors is. city authorities learn from business and apply the knowledge in asset and urban management. Making a sustainable city is a complex process that involves numerous stakeholders, starting from business, institutions, and going all the way to inhabitants. Making a sustainable city is above all making a socially healthy city, and without each other we won't survive.
Support and make some noise. And there is this one more announcement. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we remind you that we are on Earth, rotating at 0.5 kilometers per second speed and revolving around Sun at 30 kilometers per second. Today is March the 10th. 2019 years passed since, as it is said, some special guy happened to have been born. If you're watching this, you're still alive, and P number is still about 3.14. We are broadcasting live from Krasnoyarsk, Siberia, Russian Federation. The Shmed Conf is on its way, and we happily embrace our next speaker, Yegor Zadereyev. Woohoo!
Yegor Zadereyev, scientist at Krasnoyarsk Research Center, comes from Divnogorsk, lovely suburb of Krasnoyarsk. Did a PhD in Krasnoyarsk, master degree in Budapest, qualified in biology, biophysics, environmental sciences. Besides researches, does lots of social, political and popular science projects. He is among the first and notable science communicators in Russia. The leading research scientist and the head of science communication group at Krasnoyarsk Research Center. Special skills: research, writing, blogging, lecturing and event management.
Hi, good evening. Well, I hope I will manage to do this stuff. Well, today we are talking about global challenges and global problems. And it's something in the middle already. I don't know how to... Колесо! Try to rotate the колесо. Yes, this is the Shmed Conf. Our perfect Russian English will be understandable for everybody except two native speakers. For them it will be practically impossible to understand, but we will try to rotate колесо. And колесо is also known as wheel. Okay, колесо or wheel. I have no idea how to do it. I'm trying to rotate колесо. No idea. No idea with wheel. Okay, so probably you can click and I just show you yes, you can click and we will move. Yeah, okay, so yeah, global challenges, global problems. There are three guys. These three guys, they're really brilliant. They have very high intellect and they believe that artificial intelligence is a real threat for humans. Well, we can trust them. There is also other huge challenges. Just click something. Yeah, global warming. Alexandra present us this story about global warming, about all these terrible consequences of ice melting, water level rise, taiga is burning, some insects are spreading around us, a lot of disease. So huge problem. But all these problems are actually not real problems. So what is the real problem is that we are becoming more and more stupid. Not only you, I am personally, you Alexander, we are all as humans, we are becoming more stupid. So, and the story was started, let's say, 7 years ago, when genetics, Gerald Grabtree, he published two papers of fragile intellect. And he claimed that, for example, if we take one ancient Greek and transfer him or her to our times, he or she would be emotionally stable, clever, intellectual, and one of the best and brilliant persons around the whole globe, because we are all more stupid than they are. So why? Why we are more stupid? The reason is very simple. Some time ago, in human population, sexual selection started that was focused on intelligence. So if sexual selection decides that some trait is beneficial, this trait develops very fast. So we are so intelligent because some time ago girls decide that it's good to mate with clever guys, and guys decide that it's good to mate with clever girls. And this is the reason why we are so intellectual. Otherwise, we were just like apes or like other species. And when sexual selection starts, for example, this is an example of sexual selection. In very short time, we can see that one trait is developed enormously. So the same was the case with our brain and with our intelligence. If not sexual selection, so we are not so clever. But the problem is that our intellect is very fragile. Why it's very fragile? Scientists believe that our intellect is controlled, let's say, by 5,000 genes. And these 5,000 genes are responsible for all our intellectual abilities. And if there is no natural or sexual selection, natural mutations will destroy these genes. They will make our genotype not as good as it was before. And without sexual or natural selection, with time, the accumulation of mutations will lead to our decline in terms of intellectual abilities. Of course, it was a lot of discussions about these papers, and some scientists believe that all these ideas just bullshit. They are not correct, and modern genetics can disprove all arguments of grep tree. Okay, let's forget about genetics. Now we should talk about social science. For many years, we were happy with the so-called Flynn effect. What is the Flynn effect? Flynn discovered about 50 or 40 years ago that IQ tests is going higher and higher with time. So like good news, we are not getting more stupid, but we are more clever because IQ tests are growing. Let's say IQ test in 60s were lower than IQ test in 70s. So we are more and more clever. But 10 or 15 years ago, several papers were published, and now it's more and more the papers of the same stuff. Just the Flynn effect now reversed. It's negative. It's already scientifically proved that in 7 countries, Norway, Denmark, Britain, France, Finland, Netherlands, and Estonia, actually IQ scores going down. Of course, it's not so easy to collect good data to prove this idea. For example, in Russia, we don't have this type of data. But at least for these 7 countries, we know that our IQ tests going down. And how it looks, just show the next slide. For example, this graph is, I like this graph. Why? Because I'm from the cleverest generation on the planet. You can see those that were born between 70s and 80s, they are the cleverest guys. So I am happy, I am the cleverest one on this planet. But with time, the IQ scores going down, and this tendency it's not stopping. I mean, it's going on in all countries. So what is the reason? Why we are more and more stupid? There are 2 types of reasons. The first one are natural factors, genetics. But I don't think that genetics is operating in this short time scale. Genetics operates at time scale hundreds or thousands of years. So it means that the reason is social factors. And these are social factors that are proposed by scientists. Worsening nutritional health, change in media exposure, increased immigration, changes in education exposure or quality. So the education is of bad quality. And actually, Corbin Dallas was absolutely correct when in his speech to his cat he told, don't watch that stuff all day, sweetie, it will rot your brain. So TV, internet, mass media, our consumption of information in the same way as we consume burgers or McDonald's, just making us more and more stupid. And it's a real problem for the whole world. And it's not clear how to solve this problem. There are several solutions. For example, definitely we will need to employ genetical engineering to improve our DNA. I mean, in any case, we will have genetically modified people, let's say in 10 or 15 or 20 years. and genetically modified people will be like our future, more developed, even not humans, but some humans, half cyborgs, because without cyborgization also it will be impossible. And also we should change the way of our life from stupid consumption to some more or less clever way of consuming everything. And I hope that these guys like Elon Musk or maybe Hawking or maybe, I don't know, Khvostenko, they change this world and finally we will stop this trend of going down with our intellect and we still will be humans clever enough not to destroy this world. Thank you.
Thank you very
It's
much.
not so easy to talk English after, let's say, 2 years speaking in Russian.
But your English, we should say, quite well.
It was absolutely terrible. Okay, thank you.
Still
Absolutely Russian.
We gave it a try. Okay, guys, if there are any questions to Yegor,
Yeah.
any of you, yes, please, from your place.
Because people immigrate from areas where they live in other environment with low level of education, and it takes time to just lift them to the level which, let's say, for example, if you immigrate from some low-income country to Netherlands, of course, it takes, let's say, 2 or 3 generations to increase your level of competence, something like this. I mean, it's a bit not politically correct, I should say, but all these facts, they are from science papers. It's not something like widely discussed, but I mean, scientists discuss it as a real problem. We are talking about these 7 countries as countries where it was proved by published papers with good data, with statistical correlations, etc., etc., etc. In some countries, it's just even not possible today to perform this type of research. Let's say in states, this type of paper probably will not be published because of just political and ethical reasons. And for many countries, you just don't have enough data to compare different ages and different times. Let's say, for example, this graph for Norway. So it's necessary to have IQ scores measured in a big population from 1860s to these days. And all this data should be stored somewhere. You should be aware that they are performed with more or less the same methodology to compare them. So just not many countries has this type of data to compare. This is the problem. But at least for these 7 countries, they just demonstrate that IQ just it was growing and now it's just going down. Yeah. Well, of course, it's a bit different stories. The story about IQ and the story about our genotype, they are different stories. Because, of course, IQ measures not only our intelligence, but also our integration to some, let's say, typical environment you experience now. So, and when genetics talk about our genotype and our ability to process information, to control emotions, they just talk not about some specific knowledge, but our abilities to solve different problems and to solve them not simply like I will kill you and I solve the problem, but to solve them intellectually. So it's 2 different stories. I tried to mix them. Maybe 10 minutes not enough to mix them in a proper way, but still there are some story from natural sciences and there is some story from social sciences, but maybe someday they will meet somewhere and go further. But this type of research is not really well supported, especially from point of view of all this political correction and so on.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much for Yegor. Let's give him some noise support.
Yeah, thank you. Some noise.
Yeah. If you have any questions, yes, please put it somewhere there, over there. Guys, if you have any question, please contact our speakers via the VK page. Here is the address. You just take the last record and post your question to any of the speakers, and they will come up there and ask. And in the meanwhile, we are moving further. Guys, we have 12 speakers in total for today. 3 of them are already done, so 9 more. We are going, like in 15 minutes maybe, we are going to have a short break to refill our glasses, to do whatever, and then come back for the rest 6 speakers. And I assure you that they are going to be just very brilliant and very powerful. The next speaker is Misha Kudryshov. He's also absent today. He's in Hamburg, да? He's away, far away from here. Yes, and from Frankfurt, I'm sorry. And he sent us the video. The video is just beautiful, and you will like it. But before we start Misha's video, one more thing, one more short information, guys. I just want to remind you that we are on the planet Earth still. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for choosing our planet. We hope you enjoy the flight, and feel free to donate to the project, to the Shmed Conf, which is a charity project. And later on, I will tell you what kind of goal we преследуем, we follow. I'm sorry, sometimes it will be Runglish. Okay, let's go with Misha.
Misha Kudryshov, scientist at the Max Planck Institute for Biophysics in Frankfurt on Main, Germany. Grew up in Krasnoyarsk, Siberia, where he studied physics. He then moved to the University of Heidelberg, where he did his PhD in malaria research and proceeded to work as a scientist at University of Basel in Switzerland. Since 2015, he has been a group leader at the Institute of Biophysics researching brain proteins. Misha is a regular, everyday, normal guy. Doesn't have a special skill. In the free time, he enjoys simple things in life, such as science, traveling the world, playing video games, interacting with ladies, and b-balling with his homeboys.
Good day, everybody. My name is Misha Kudryshov. It's my greatest pleasure to be the speaker at the second Shmed Conference. The first time I've given this lecture was about my hope that we as a humanity will improve the living quality and the duration, and me as a 35-year-old person could live for as long as 100, 150 years or may never die. So that's amazing, but with this great idea, which may implement only partially, but we certainly are going to live longer, comes one of the other greatest challenges about which I want to talk today. This challenge is poverty. So poverty is actually one of the main risk factors for death, and we need to manage our personal finance very cautiously, and we do this while we're working because we get salary. However, when we stop working, we are going to be in a little bit of a trouble. So the bad news, fellows, is that by the middle of the century, we will roughly double the number of people over 60 on our planet, and so we will also be one of those. This means that a younger generation will not be able to produce as much wealth to support themselves, growth, and also the older generation. And as a result, the older people, retired people, will get roughly half the money that they get today. And today it's not really a they're not super wealthy today either. So I lived in countries like Germany and Switzerland and worked there, so the classical gold standard way to do this, to save for your retirement, is to put a little bit of money aside every month, and then this money I invested into bonds, and then these bonds accumulate interest over time, and you would then once you retire, you would start getting this money back. So my personal example is that I lived 6 years in Switzerland, and so over this time I've contributed 24,000 Swiss francs to my retirement. So this money I invested into very safe Swiss bonds, so they shouldn't like get they shouldn't like be totally lost under no circumstances. But the problem is they also don't grow. So in 2018, from 24,000 Swiss francs, I made an interest of 12 Swiss francs, which is like very little. A Swiss franc is something like $1, and I had to pay 36 Swiss francs as management fees. So not only I didn't increase my savings, but I also lost a little bit. So it looks like long term it's not a very good plan. But it's a potentially big problem. So I plan to work till maybe I'm 70, and then I'm maybe gonna live for another 30 years if I don't die from some stupid disease. So I've realized that we need to take control over our own finance in our hands. Otherwise, we're not gonna make it that far. And so what works for me is I've saved a little bit of money also on the side. I don't spend that much money really, and I have a salary. I've been working for the last 14 years. So what works for me is an investment into the stocks of good American companies. So what you see on the screen on slide 5 is the price of this Standard & Poor's 500, which is a portfolio of 500 most valuable American companies. It updates, and so what you see is that roughly from 97 till 2019 it grew roughly threefold. It doesn't grow every year, it goes up and down, so on number of years it actually may even drop. However, there is a long-term trend that good companies that make great products and that are located in the States, this doesn't, well, you can also invest into other companies. So over long term, they actually give you consistent profit, and so if some of the companies will go bankrupt, then they will be excluded from the Standard & Poor's index, and then the new companies would appear. So as a result, basically investing into the best companies of the world is investing into progress, and progress does tend to perform well. From 1950 is when the first recordings were made. The index has grown 150 times, so which is a significant overperformance over the inflation. So average annual return is 6 to 8%. Sometimes you lose money. Let's say I have lost roughly 10% of my money in the 2018. However, as you can see on the graph, overall, the money invested a long time ago have a tendency to grow. You also need to remember that you usually have an inflation of something like 1 to 2%, depends on the country where you live, and so average return, you need to think of return minus inflation and minus taxes. There is a large investment infrastructure, infrastructure around the investment. It's called investment banks or investment advisors. They wear fancy suits and they tell you how to invest your money. I'm not one of them. I do wear a dress shirt, though. However, on a long run, if you look at the performance of the actively managed funds, where the experts buy and sell stocks maybe every day or every month, then on a long run, 95% of them actually perform worse than just basically buying an index fund, buying a basket of stocks. So in order to justify their existence and paying for the expensive suits, they charge you a commission of 1 to 2%. So, and they underperform the market. So as a result, there is this notion that you shouldn't try to actively manage your funds, but and you should try to avoid those investment consultants if they have commissions. So what is accepted nowadays in on a slightly more conservative among the more conservative people in Europe and the States is to buy a so-called buy and hold strategy. So you buy, you have a fixed number of money that you invest every month, and then you buy this an index fund on every day, and then you don't sell it unless you really have to retire or have to make a big purchase, like maybe a house. And so basically over time you minimize your risk by buying another little piece of fund every month, and then this way you minimize the risk that you're getting, and over the time this seems to be the optimal strategy to invest. And it also takes away a lot of your personal effort, because if you have discipline, then you don't have to make a decision every time. A very important question: what if you don't have a lot of money to invest? Well, I didn't have a lot of money to invest, but then you realize that you kind of maybe don't need to buy a car every other year, or like maybe you can cut down on some of your spending. And so if you cut down on the unnecessary expenses, which you really don't need, then you can save, I don't know, maybe $50, $100 every month. Maybe you can save 500 or 1,000, depends on how much you make. Of course, if you make more money, you could save more money, but that's not the point. Everybody has unnecessary expenses on which you can cut down. And so if you optimize your taxes, start spending in a smart way, then you actually have the opportunity to save a little bit of money, and then you can invest this money into the stock market. Don't use debt or leverage. It's a terrible idea, because your money do not go up as a straight line, and actually there are risks, but you need to pay the percent on your debt every year. So it's a terrible idea to like borrow money to invest. In fact, if you do have debt, you rather want to pay it off before you start investing. Yeah, so be careful. What I've said to you today is still not an investment advice. You would still need to make responsible choices. And if you don't want to invest, I have slide 9 for you. You have other options. You can make kids, but by the time you'll be 100, they'll also be 60 or 70, and they'll be rather old. You can marry someone rich, or move to a wealthy country while you work, and then move to a rather cheap country when you retire. One way or another, have a financial plan, and do the numbers in advance. Thank you very much, and have a nice day and life.
Thank you, Misha. It was a great talk, and Misha's language was just perfect, and I don't know what to add here. He was just, I think that's the best Shmed talk, the ideal of Shmed talk person. Okay, so guys, you are always welcome to continue with our, so to say, little tradition to make a small conferences during the year, 1 or 2 conferences, just informal, with a bar, with a shisha and whatever you want. And we are going on, and the next speaker is me, actually, and it's gonna be serious. And I apologize in advance for my poor English. It's my just a second language. Anyway, give me intro.
Alexey Khvostenko, editor and writer, CMO at Prima Media Group, Krasnoyarsk. Comes from Krasnoyarsk and currently resides here. Qualified in PR and media communications. Used to do a lot for business, non-profit and political projects in Krasnoyarsk and all over Russia. Special skill, writing, packing ideas into various media products.
Have you ever noticed, guys, have you ever noticed that from time to time you get into similar situation during your life? That the same plot repeats itself in different scenarios. People are different, but they play quite the same roles. As if the screenplay of your life was written by a mad, retarded screenwriter ran out of cocaine. Have you ever noticed that the same emotion overwhelms you as if you are addicted to it? anger, fear, despair, exhaustion, disappointment, confusion, shame, guilt. Been there, done that? Same shit, different day? Let's give an example. Let's say some Vasya, just a regular guy doing his job, but sooner or later his colleagues, a peer or a boss, doesn't matter, starts to behave himself that way that freaks Vasya out. Just he's going nuts. He says like, so that's how you act. Then go fuck yourself. Bam! And he quits one more time. He quits his job. Just round the circle. Okay, one more example. Masha, sweetest person, good family, perfectly educated, but her relationships with men tend to end up more or less the same way. She starts digging up weak points, and surprise, surprise, there are plenty of them. Hurt feeling, disappointment, disrespect, they accumulate and sooner or later lead to a painful split up. And this is no less than the 4th time at a row. What the fuck? What forces us to use the same templates time and again? How come we choose not decrypting the code, but using those behavioral patterns which lead us to 100% predictable result? What's going on, guys? What's that? I'm quite sure that most of you perfectly know the answer. And I'm not reinventing the wheel for you here. The wheel, you remember. Колесо. We all come from childhood. Our patterns of behavior, not just physically, but mental patterns, are heritage of our family. It is true that besides genotype sealed in a DNA, we inherit a mental genome. Once we came here and are raised up, we get our family software pre-installed. This software has got lots of errors. It's corrupt. Get your elbows off the table. Finish your soup. Put on the hat. Behave yourself. Because I said so, that's why. The policeman is gonna take you away to jail. Global warming, they said. Nuclear weapon. Overconsumption, overpopulation. Guys, come on. Main challenge here is to stop crippling our children. Just for start. Let's quit this living behind the mirror. Stop this fucking Groundhog Day. This B-rank movie on repeat. Here just a few examples of family transmitted mental diseases. How do you like that? Family transmitted mental diseases. Critics, pay some attention. No offense, but it's out of your range. My Vasinka is not gonna make it. I'm afraid he's too soft. It's for your own sake. That's a fake care that makes you a doormat. And all those stories about the son of the mother's female friend who managed to. Why don't you be more like him? Fuck. Guys, it's just... Okay, one more. Depreciation. None of your business. Have ever anyone heard once? Not only you who are tired. So what? Age dominance. That's perfect. You are too young to get older. Be mature. Do not argue with seniors. Intimidation. The best part. The clock is ticking. You will end up on the street as a whore or as a criminal. Choose the best. Graduate as a lawyer and do what you want. Masochism. Life is pain. That's the way it is, and we have to accept it. Passive aggression, guys. Guess how you just hurt me. Guess. I know what you meant. You always do this or that. You never do this or that. I told you is a part of the combo. The Finnish part is, that doesn't matter anymore. Or as we say it in Russia, ой, всё. Shame and guilt. Shame and guilt, guys, this is just perfect. It's my favorite one. Real Bible of domestic terrorist. Perfect tool of a serial abuser. Lethal weapon of mass humiliation. Be a man. Don't be a pussy. Look at yourself. What have you done? Quit whining immediately. I raised you up with these very hands. What do I get in return? What will people say? Tremor, enuresis, suppressed reflexes, loss of libido, weight loss, elevated pressure, disability, or suicide. Here's the short list of possible consequences. Here comes the question, the one main question. At what exact moment do people from gentle, lovely, open-minded parents turn into the worst copy of their own mothers and fathers, passing over to the next generation the damaged software, putting their children under pressure, teaching them to be nuts, hypocritical, oppressed, full of hatred and fear, not allowing them to develop normally, to thrive. The point is that generally, in a long term, children tend to repeat the fate of their parents, of their grandparents. Only the setting may vary. It's fucking matrix, my friends. It's matrix. Is there a way I can reject this user agreement at the beginning? Is it somehow possible to respawn and start the life once again in an environment clean from emotional violence? You know the answer. But what should we do? The last part of my talk. How do we handle it? How do we handle it, guys? Hundreds of books have been written. Hundreds of thousands of psychiatrists work every day to help people to get rid of outdated parental background, this buggy software. But we should not underestimate the power of habit. Say, you have been limping, for like 20 or 30 years. What do you think? You can just boom and start walking straight? No. Cut this bullshit. We're not in a Hollywood movie. Only everyday work with the help of books, consultants, and your bro, still no guarantee. American psychologist Eric Berne, along with his research group, has studied the issue quite deep. He left us several works. The book, What Do You Say After You Say Hello? Someone heard of it? Anyone? What do you say after you say hello? No? Haven't read? Okay, never mind. Is one of the greatest, I should say, greatest works on psychology. Tools of scenario analysis are stated there quite in detail. I'd like to refer here. But there is one more piece of advice I want to share with you right now. Say thanks to Dima Zitser. Have anyone heard of Dima Zitser? Yes, that's a Russian psychologist, talented guy, just yeah. He knows the stuff. So Dima Zitser, he gives us that piece of wisdom, psychology. Just formula is simple. Just stop for a second to observe your body. Right the moment you're about to open your mouth and start yelling at your child, shout at him or her. Stop, just for a second. What do you feel? Got pain in the side? Fists are doubled. Eye twitch. Breath is on hold. Breath is essential. This is the only process in our bodies which can be both automatic and controlled with our will. So breathe deeply, observe, take a break. Strategically, from the species survival point of view, this is not wise to put our children under pressure. They follow us to inherit this planet. So how should they face all those global challenges if since the very childhood We make them survive, not thrive. So let's help them to thrive, guys. Thank you. One more little piece. As I said, the biggest challenge for today is healthy childhood. And as one of creators of the event, I'd like to take some extra time, just a couple of minutes, to tell you about how we are to preserve happiness and well-being of childhood. What we can do today there are powerful tools of giving the child a chance to thrive. Yes, the family is the core, is the basis. But let's not forget about local community, the environment where a child gets his experience of interacting with the world outside his family. So, and there is this case I want to tell you about, location-based community, a club here in Krasnoyarsk. A group of parents and associates for upbringing children and family education. Its name is Actis. My friend, be ready to put on the video. A friend of mine has found it, and I'm a big supporter. Let's see 1 minute video. Just 1 minute. Go.
Гордимся мы сегодня словом важным учеником.
О, у меня аж мурашки по коже.
Молодец.
Сильно рассказал.
Да. О, отличное движение. Когда носим низкую кожу.
А у меня хорошо получается?
Так, что там у тебя?
Может, хватит? Я фенечек.
I think you got the idea, guys. People just got together to let children thrive, to teach them skills, to get positive role models to them, to show them how to hang together, to cooperate, to live full and happy life. Today's Shmed Conf, this event is a charity event. Today I want to encourage you to support Actis. Not the particular club itself, not Actis itself, but the case, the example of how people can cooperate to pay attention to children, to intentionally give them power, give power to the children. That's my slogan for today. Thank you very much. And next speaker is about to get on the stage, and we are listening for the intro.
Matthew Clicks, teacher and co-founder of Absolute English Language School. From the Windy City, Chicago, graduated from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where he got a degree in history and certification in secondary education. For the last 12 years, he's called Krasnoyarsk home. Now he co-manages an English school called Absolute English, where he spends most of his time rocking irregular verbs and getting down grammar style.
All right. Hello. Let me start. Hi, Mom. She's watching. I would like to thank you guys for organizing this. Thank you, all of you, for coming. I'm going to talk today about the mistake. I've made at least 10 or 12 today, but my wife would say it's more. And I'm going to take you on a quick little journey with a couple of stories. The first one is going to give us a kind of global perspective. I'll bring it a little closer together, and then tell you a personal example before finishing up. The first one we're going to talk about, like I said, is going to redefine how we saw the world. It's, as long as for 2,000 years or so, we've known the world is round. The ancient Greeks knew about it 500 years ago. It was a widely accepted idea that the world was round. So when, as any American child knows, you could turn the slide, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, looking for a route to India for trade spices. We know he didn't find it, but what he did find reinvented what we understood the world to be, how we saw the world. And despite his mistaken belief, he died thinking that he had found a route to India. First mistake. Second will take us a little closer to home. In 1867, a man named William Seward, he was the American Secretary of State, our top diplomat, and he made a land deal at this time. Critics of this land deal called it Seward's folly. Thought it was a ridiculous idea. He bought a big piece of frozen land and paid $7.2 million for it. That's $105 million today. This land, though, is called Alaska. We bought it from you guys. And there's a lot of gold and oil there, and it turned out to be a pretty good decision. He knew about it. Others thought it was a big mistake. The third mistake I want to talk about is connected to a friend of mine who moved to Russia a few years ago, and that wasn't his mistake. He moved to Russia a few years ago. He was dating a Russian girl, beautiful Russian girl, the kind that makes you do crazy things like move to Siberia. Like myself, this is not about me, though I have similar stories. And he got a text message that said, "Давай встретимся полшестого." His Russian was not very good. He understood the word sex, or he understood the word six, yeah? Freud. He understood six. He understood meat. He understood let's, but what he didn't understand was whole. And he looked it up in a dictionary. Hey, see what's coming here. This is what he found. And he thought this is going to be a great evening. And he showed up half an hour late and quite disappointed. So he obviously has not forgotten what this word means. And I wanted to tell you that in my own sphere, language learning is a great way to learn from your mistakes. I see it. I've been fighting this battle with my students for 12 years. It's not so much a battle with my students as much as a battle with their perception. I see it every time I say, open the homework to page 65, and they put their hands down, their eyes down, or their eyes around, anywhere but at me, right? I give them back their exam, and any sign, even a smiley face in red marker, prompts them to hide it in their book or look for the trash can. And for me, it's such a pity. This giving back of the exam is the most important part of testing. It's a chance for us to correct the mistakes they didn't know they were getting wrong. It's a chance for me to understand where I failed as a teacher in explaining the concepts I need to tell them. And so it's just so vitally important to open that dialogue between teacher and student, between boss and employee, between project manager and those working with him. That dialogue's very important, and the mistakes are important. A 2014 study from the University College of London, demonstrated this, saying that those who made mistakes in the learning process learned and retained the information significantly faster than those who simply repeated the information. The generation of mistakes, making the mistakes, is what triggered the mechanism in the brain to remember better. And that's what reminds me that mistakes are not my enemy in my classroom. They're not the problem I'm fighting with. They're my ally in trying to teach my students. And so let me leave you with this last idea. And it's something that connects all of you. And you look around the room, you'll see a great wide diversity of people here, and it's fantastic. And that's a result of your genes, like Igor was saying. Your genes being copied over billions of years, your DNA with countless errors in it, and resulting in the great splendor of nature we see around us. And that's because it results from evolution's greatest tool, the mistake. So that's all.
Thank you. It was just speech. I just loved it, guys. Isn't it great? Yeah, it was.
Thanks.
It was really. Maybe anyone of us wanna ask question.
Yeah. My personal favorite mistake. It's not my personal favorite mistake, but I like the strategy students do when I ask them a question like, how do you spell book, right? And they'll look at their homework and they'll say, B-U-K? I'll say, nope, sorry, it's B-O-O-K. Well, I know, it's what I wrote on my homework. This trying to avoid making the mistake, like, I'll try plan A. If that doesn't work, plan B's here, so I'm still right. So that's one of them. Yeah. Other questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
All
thank
right,
you.
great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Guys, before we go to a break, I think like 10 minutes break is okay. I want to draw your attention to a boarding pass. Any one of you got one? Is that right? This small piece of paper, it's not only a ticket. It's a tool for putting... here is the sticker. Small sticker is a round one. I can do like this. Can you see this? From your ticket. And put it on a poster out there. Is like a rating for speakers. Which one you liked, you can just hop and you're good. You do good. Okay, so this is our rating, vote for the speaker you like. Okay, so and now 10 minutes and we go on here, Shmed Conf 2019. Thank you.
more than the combined population of Europe. They know the value of water. They know how to use it sparingly. Here, they depend on wells replenished by fossil water, which accumulated underground in the days when it rained on these deserts, 25,000 years ago. Fossil water also enables crops to be grown in the desert to provide food for local populations. The field's circular shape derives from the pipes that irrigate them around a central pivot. But there is a heavy price to pay. Fossil water is a non-renewable resource. In Saudi Arabia, the dream of industrial farming in the desert has faded. As if on a parchment map, the light spots on this patchwork show abandoned plots. The irrigation equipment is still there, the energy to pump water also. But the fossil water reserves are severely depleted. Israel turned the desert into arable land. Even though these hothouses are now irrigated drop by drop, water consumption continues to increase along with exports. The once mighty River Jordan is now just a trickle. Its water has flown to supermarkets all over the world in crates of fruit and vegetables. The Jordan's fate is not unique. Across the planet, one major river in 10 no longer flows into the sea for several months of the year. The Dead Sea derives its name from its incredibly high salinity that makes all life impossible. Deprived of the Jordan's water, its level goes down by over 1 meter per year. Its salinity is increasing. Evaporation, due to the heat, produces these fine islands of salt evaporates, beautiful but sterile. In Rajasthan, India, Udaipur is a miracle of water. The city was made possible by a system of dams and channels that created an artificial lake. For its architects, was water so precious that they dedicated a palace to it? India risks being the country that suffers most from the lack of water in the coming century. Massive irrigation has fed the growing population, and in the last 50 years, 21 million wells have been dug. The victory over famine has a downside, however. In many parts of the country, the drill has to sink ever deeper to hit water. In western India, 30% of wells have been abandoned. The underground aquifers are drying out.
Sergei Chervякov, Moscow, Business Development Manager, Avian Volvic International, Moscow. Born in Bratsk, Siberia, used to live in St. Petersburg, Cyprus and the city of Lancaster in England, where he obtained Advanced Marketing Management master's degree in the #1 marketing school in the UK. PhD in economics, skillful business strategist with more than 10 years in FMCG international companies and not-profit projects. Now develops comprehensive sales and marketing strategy programs for Avian brand in Russia. Skills, shopper marketing and sales strategy.
Hello, hello. Hello. Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Thanks, technology, that I can hear you. Hold on for a second. And we just need to check that everything is set up. So you hear me well? Am I right? Ah, fantastic. Okay, hello everyone, good evening. Sergei Chervякov is on air, and I'm gonna use some supporting slides that I do believe you will like. Because the interesting thing is that these slides I'm going to show you are in Russian. Just wait a moment. So here we go. Now just 1, 2, 3, and not my annoying head, but beautiful slides instead just should have appeared. So now can you see the slides, guys? Okay, fantastic. So as I said, my slides will be in Russian. So hopefully just will add some entertainment into my speech. And sorry for those two native English speakers who will not understand the word. But yeah, nevertheless, there are some jokes that just cannot be translated, or it would take really a lot to translate them into English. So yeah, to start with, I think that the most attentive listeners of you might already notice that the headline you can see on the slide sounds pretty much like that famous movie named starring Julia Roberts, I guess it was, or maybe the famous even the book. So my speech or any contents, just to make it clear, nothing within it, within the presentation. So no contents have nothing to do with that sentimental soft soap stuff. No. No, I personally, I do not like that book. I just wanted to use a header, and the interesting thing is that the only maybe partly connected between my speech and that book is that there was a turning point somewhere. There was a turning point in both scenarios of that Elizabeth Gilbert book, that that lady, the main character, and my own life. Were reassessed, evaluated, and had that one life-changing trip. So that's probably things that can be named similar in that book and within my own life path. So yeah, starting with challenges. I just want to introduce another presenter who will help me during this speech, Mikhail Saltykov-Shchedrin, and his sarcasm and quotes that I will be using all alone. But yeah, to start about the challenges, the world population, as we already discussed, has tripled. Just think about it; it's just tripled for the latest 60 years. Oh no, yeah, it's tripled. It was actually 2.5 million people, a billion people live on the planet, and now it's slightly more than 7.5. You know, we've already discussed that artificial intelligence now effectively has the computing power of a human brain. You just imagine that. Globalization and social media have made like the world far more accessible than ever before. Society would appear actually unrecognizable, at least technically, to our grandparents. You know, they get used to those like telephones with disc dialing stuff. They sometimes cannot understand what's happening around them. And you know, these guys in different institutions abroad have created like a nice word. It sounds terrible. It's is not recognizable actually. VUCA, V-U-C-A. That's abbreviation. Is an acronym for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That's things that are happening in our world right now. And behind these things, we are starting to miss really important issues, you know, just like those that were presented in that video that was prior my speech right now. Yeah, truly, that's the point. We are exhausting over 150% of the planet's biocapacity. That's like ridiculous if you think about it. Whether you like it or not, we are in a paradigm shifting age where technological, demographical, social, environmental, economical, and educational stuff is redefining who we are. And that's the moment to think about it. What we are at the moment, who we are. At the core, because at the core of any response to the global challenges that face us is the age-old question of a person character, the moral spine that will determine the scope and the style of the response to any given situation, how to define the character of ourselves. Today's world is fast changing, that we already agreed, I guess, and uncertain, and therefore requires a particularly developed level of resolve. And that's the moment, like, to ask, do we have that level of resolve? Because actually there are like 4 basic pillars, in my point of view. I mean, erudition, just overall intelligence, emotional intelligence, discipline, and ethics. That's like things that defines the moral character of any man. And where to get this? In case in our 20s. In our 20s, we do not know what we want to do in our future lives. I cannot see, unfortunately. But may I ask you to raise hands if you did know what you will be doing when you were 20 something. Well, like, if you did know, just please raise your hand. And well, I cannot see, but I guess there were not many hands, yeah, in the air. Just, well, actually, that's a very simple thing. We do not know ourselves, and I can actually say that we partly can blame our educational system in this. And well, unfortunately, I just actually, yes, starting like straight to the point and forgot to introduce myself a little bit. And yeah, it's probably a right point actually to do this, because you probably were wondering, who am I? Why should I listen? Why should you listen to me? What is it, like experience or expertise, knowledge of some kind? Like why I'm just a talking head is telling something to me? Well, as it was said in I think so. I mean, yeah, sure. 3 more minutes would be fine. Yeah, as it was already said, I like lived in several places around the world, and I studied like eternally throughout my whole life. Bachelor's degree and master's in Siberia, then PhD in Central European part of Russia, then master's degree abroad, and hopefully that it's kind of enough to have some sort of expertise to share about educational stuff and how the education affects ourselves as a human, as a humans, as moral characters, and why it is that much important. So I was blaming a little bit our educational system, and that's like a really sad thing that our educational institutions are not that much like trusted across the borders. Well, and yeah, we can say that we are lagging a little bit, and not mostly actually hard skill stuff. I truly believe that hard skill stuff in Russia is really good, but that soft skill part is really lagging behind. And you know, like we can say that eruditions, you remember these four like great pillars, erudition and discipline are really good in Russia. However, ethics and emotional intelligence are not really like sometimes the point in our like educational institutions. And two more interesting points. I made some research, and sustainability and criticality to the information, not really like the top of mind points which are taught in Russian institutions, and that's really like it's not a good thing, because sustainability thing is it just should be addressing that like global issues. The criticality to this post-truth, I'm making these quotes in the air, post-truth era, you know, when communications are much more important sometimes than the information behind them, that these issues are really not good addressed in our university, unfortunately. But God bless Elon. Okay, so unfortunately, Russian education at the moment are not addressing soft skill things, but God bless the Bologna process, and now we have a really good chance to study abroad. And our educational system, of whether you you had been getting specialist degree or bachelor's degree, it doesn't matter at the moment, because now you have like open doors in any like any educational institutions in Europe or in America, in Americas. Actually, there are a lot of them, or even in Australia. And that's actually the chance to to embark yourself to a good journey where you can obtain those skills that will bring you to a leadership position. And yeah, I will actually send this stuff, because it has some really interesting instructions where to learn like English to prepare yourself to that fantastic journey ahead. And weak institutions, not educational ones, but sometimes governmental institutions, which can provide you a chance to go to study abroad and to obtain the skill you could ever dream about. That's pretty much it, I say. Yeah, of course I will. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Well, not enough time for the speakers of the second half. I need to blame the first one. Okay, yeah, thank you indeed. Yeah, and see you later. I will be offline. You too all. I'm with you, watching you online. So yeah. See you. Bye.
Is Anya? Is Anya here? Anya here. Get yourself a microphone. You need a headphone, right? While we listen for the intro, give me please.
Anna Vagina, physics tutor and China lover, originally from Krasnoyarsk, has recently come back from Shanghai, where was studying Chinese for 6 months. Head of the team of tutors in Krasnoyarsk, teaches physics to children aged 6 to 60. Special skills, having fun every moment and sharing her love for physics and Chinese culture with others.
Go.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Pretty well.
That's nice. As you know, as you might know, I've just came back from Shanghai, where I was studying Chinese language for half of a year, and I'm teaching physics. Yeah, you can turn the slides. This is Shanghai. My photo from Shanghai. So this is my work. Yeah, for some people it could be strange how one person can teach physics and at the same time learning Chinese. But all of my life I did and I do that things that I like to do, that I want to do, and that I can do. I studied physics at the university because I was wondering how does this world works. Truly speaking, I don't know how yet, but I'm trying to know. I started to learn Chinese because I was wondering why do people say that Chinese is the most difficult language in the world. With the parents of my husband in my life, who has exactly the same philosophy as mine, it became simpler to live this way. No, it's not that the time. Yes, thank you. When on the next day after our wedding, I woke up at the tent in the forest, and I looked outside the tent and I saw a lot of snow in the beginning of the May, and I saw a lot of another tents full of frozen and happy people inside of them. I thought that we can do anything that we only can imagine. But when you live as you want to, and do that things that you want to do, for sure there will be some people that can be no. Thank you. There will be some people that would like to teach you how to live your life in a proper way. Yeah. I think that the worst things that they can do is start asking questions. Why do you study physics? How do you get a job? You will not get a job, won't you? Or they can ask, why do you study Chinese? Do you need it for your job? And these questions, I found them worthwhile because they make you find some excuses for your actions. But I strongly believe that you need some excuses only if you fail or do something wrong. And I reckon that when I don't satisfy someone's expectation, I don't need to find excuses. One day I found an universal answer to all these questions. I do it just because I can. Just because I can. So this answer is totally amazing. because all the magic of this answer is that every person can suggest your reasons or your excuses for your own, based on his own beliefs. I've made some of my own experiment on people, did my research. When people asked me, why did you go to Shanghai for half of a year? I answered, I did it just because I can. And after that, some people told me, sure, you do it because you can afford it. Thank you. No! You fail. The second answer was, yep, your husband can let you go. That's the next. Thank you. The next answer was, sure, you have no kids, so you can go. Yeah, you have no. The last one was, yeah, your work allows you to go. So you don't need to think about excuses because the others can do it for you. And at the same time, you can freely do whatever you want, not breaking the law, of course. I think nowadays people artificially limit themselves. A lot of people live not their lives because of expectations of their others. Just think about it. We rely on the stereotypes that were formed 100 years ago. Is it normal for the age of Wi-Fi and available air tickets to almost every place on the earth? I don't think so. Speaking about the limits, we often think of China. But some time ago, I read a story about one Chinese teacher. Her name is Wu Shaoqian. She quit her job, and in the course of quitting, she wrote the next slide. Okay. She wrote, 世界那么大，我想去看看. That means the world is so big, I want to go and see it. After that, she traveled a lot and wrote a book about it. This story inspired me a lot. What I'm talking about isn't just do whatever you like, just only for your pleasure. No. I believe that everyone has a huge number of opportunities. The main thing is just start doing something for your success. Because if you think about it and you want it, that means that you already know where you have to start and you can do it. If you think about doing something, just start doing it. If you want to make your own blog, you should do it. Singing or dancing, just start doing it. If you want to learn how to draw, just start doing your first drawings or go to art school. If you want to learn Spanish, just start learning. you too.
How many examples are there?
No, that's all. I'm almost.
Yeah.
I almost finished.
Time is up.
Okay. I think that it is time to change our beliefs and believe in our own opportunities. While I was talking, probably some of you had some ideas in your head about what are you willing to do. So do it just because you can.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You did a speech because you can. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the next speaker is Tony. Tony, get ready for your speech. And while he's coming here to get his microphone, we're listening for the intro.
Tony Vieira, President of Youth Association Malmö, Sweden, and Project Manager and Youth Trainer within European Youth Program Erasmus+, organizes training courses for youth workers, organized youth camps. Mission: to be good ambassador for youth in Europe, manage projects for youth work and European volunteer service.
Yeah, hello. Hello everybody, I'm really happy to be here. Like come here and see and listen to these wonderful people that are talking about something that is quite important for us, environment and mobility, and to make our world a bit better. Well, anyway, I come from Sweden. I work at a youth association called Youth Europe. Today I'm going to try to take the world record, Guinness record, to make a fast lecture, okay? First of all, I'm going to tell you something about a big youth European portal called Eurodesk, okay? And then I'm going to tell you a bit about youth program I call European Voluntary Service. And I will finish to tell you a little about European youth program called Erasmus+, okay? This is some kind of tools for young people, but not only for young people, but also for youth workers and adults, okay? To have exchange and see a little bit more about Europe, okay? About Eurodesk, why people need to go to Eurodesk database? Well, many of the people want to know how to study abroad, how to work abroad, what is my rights, what I have to do when I come to another country, what kind of possibilities I have to go for voluntary projects abroad, how can I found that activities, where do I go, where do I start, where to found help to run a project. Okay, here we go. So the Eurodesk portal. If you have a chance, go to eurodesk.eu, European Union, okay? There you will find a lot of relevant information for young people and youth workers in the field of education, training, youth, and mobility. That's a difficult word. I made it. Take to the next, please. There is a lot of sections that you found in this portal: studying, working, getting training, education, how to get involved, how can I go to, for example, to Spain to learn Spanish and meet people or help youth education. Next one, please. Thank you very much. As I told you, Eurodesk is a database where you can, for example, ask questions about Europe. For example, what is the best thing to do in Ireland? So you can go to Eurodesk, Ireland, ask an Irish person, and in 5 seconds get the answer. Next one, please. We can jump to the next one because that one I already told. Well, when you're making projects, you always need to be involved in an organization, okay, association, federation, or work. In that way, you can get involved and participate in a lot of activities. Next one, please. So we can jump to the next. The website looks more or less like this. So you just have to click. There is 22 languages. So if you're not good in English, you can go to the next language. Thank you very much. So as I said, here you can find all information about all Europe. The European Commission is the one that I gave in the mission to Brussels links to take care of Eurodesk. Next one, here we go. Okay, there is a youth program called Erasmus+ that has a lot of part programs. Okay, it's for people between 13 years old and 35 years old. Okay, you can continue jumping. So as I said, if I want to live abroad, if I want to study, if I want to meet people, if I want to get involved in a society. Next one. So now I will tell you, for example, about the European Voluntary Service. Let's see that this man wants to go to Spanish to work for the municipality to help the people cleaning the streets for the municipality. There is a possibility that you can go to a database and search for a program and get money to go abroad. So you will get paid for it. It doesn't cost anything. The European Commission pays everything. Russians can also participate if you found a European organization that can cooperate. To the next. I will leave this this PowerPoint presentation with this man, and it will be a link so you can get access to it. Let's jump to the next one. There is also a possibility that you can participate in camps with different themes about environment, about looking for similarities, equalities, etc. And that you just have to go inside the Eurodesk portal and look for information for that. Jumping. Next one, please. Yeah, we will do it. We can jump to the next, because it's this one. Next one, please. Next. And there is also action called number 4. As you see, you got a lot of possibilities. Networking, training courses, participating seminars, study visits, and so on. Jumping. And we can go to the next one. As I told you, the European youth program called Erasmus Plus is where you can get funds to participate in all these projects. Next one, please. And here you can see people always ask me about, for example, okay, I'm Russian or I'm from Thailand or whatever. Can I participate? Yes, if you have a European country that is involved, that you can go. Next one, please. That's a nice guy, eh? Close. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, if you go to aerodesk.eu, you just can get all information. So it's a big database with a lot of information. Not only for young people, but also for adults.
Okay, my friends.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony, for coming here, for joining in, for supporting Shmed Conf. Okay, guys, so 3 more talks we left, and the next speaker is Ivan Timofeyenko. While he comes here for his headset, can I borrow this? Yes, you equip. We'll listen for the intro. Let's go.
Mathematician, science communicator and entrepreneur, Siberian, born in Krasnoyarsk, resident of and devoted to this city, winter swimmer, PhD in mathematics, co-founder on Newton Park Interactive Museum of Science, lecturer at Siberian Federal University, fields of interest, algebra, theory of groups, leader in more than 10 non-profit projects mostly regarding popular science, education for teachers and school kids, special skill, social engineering, solving mathematical problems as well as problems in actual life.
Раз. Oh, отлично. Good evening. Good evening, guys. Let's some noise for organizer. Thank you for this conference. Good. My topic is it possible to improve quality of life without increasing our consumption? Our planet resources. Where is my presentation? Please organize. Okay, can you do next slide when I do this? Okay, who will do it? Artyom. Okay. Good night, guys. Oh, no, oh, yes, my topic is how to live happier without increase of resources consumption. Yes, our planet resources are limited. We consume it fast, constantly raising our irrational demands. Sooner or later, we are going to reduce it. Here. Can you go into the presentation mode? Presentation mode. No, it has, yes. The arose and then. Oh no. Sorry. Это что такое? Под этим. Thank you. Good. Our planet resources are limited. Yes, we consume it fast, constantly raising our rational demands. Sooner or later, I didn't. Okay. Sooner or later, we are going to reduce it. Here, you can see the word historical and projected oil production, and the peak of oil production very, very soon, about 5 or 10 years. And the oil is a very important resource for us, you know, yes? And because of it, we have a global challenge. How can we become happier without increasing our consumption? As shown by numerous of opinion polls, the happiness doesn't depend on amount of money. For example, here we have income, early income in US in 1956, about $8,000, and we have it grows, and in 1998 about $20,000 in $1999. without inflection. And all time, the percentage of people who answer that they feel themselves very happy is about 30%. It's not depend on money they have. And let's see the example. You are office worker, and you are the same position for 3 or 5, 10 years. Yes, you used to dream of this job. You're happy as hell when you got it, but now you're tired. Every day you come to the office, so familiar but so tired. Who know people like this man? You know, they exist around us. Yes. And next people, yes, you have a very interesting project. You are so deep into it. You can go on working all night without getting tired. You feel so completely involved in the process. You become the whole unit with it, and stop noticing what's around you. You don't hear maybe your wife, your husband, and times run very fast for you. Who knows this state of experience? You and me too. When I working on science problem, when I know how to do it, it's very, very happy state. Yes, you no, in my scale it's 10 of 10 points of happy when you like this man. Yes. Yes. So how can we achieve this state of happiness? And what is happiness? Yes, the answer is given by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. He is psychologist, and he answered in the book. Can you do it again, please? The book Flow. Flow, Psychology of Optimal Experience. In Russian, this case. He conducting numerous of experiences. He asked thousands of people from different spheres, and he found that we are most happy when we are in flow mode. He said it is flow mode, and there are a few conditions of getting into this mode, and I want to tell you about these conditions. Next, they are 7 conditions, and next the first condition, challenging activities that require skills. What it means? Playing tennis, for example, yes, brings joy. Playing tennis brings joy only if both players have the same skill level. Otherwise, the less experienced person will be nervous because he will scare. Yes, the more experienced to suffer from boredom. And in our museum, the workshops, our Museum of Science, Newton Park, are designed in such a way that the difficulty match the abilities to the student, and joy arises on border between boredom and fear of not coping. You should be here to be in the flow. That your challenge, your task, is a difficult of your challenge, and here your skill. And if your skill match the difficult challenge, you are in flow. It's the first condition to be in flow. Next, please. The merging of action and awareness. A person is so engaging in the task that his activity becomes almost automatic. He merges with the committed actions. And an example of climber is a direct speech. of climber. You are so fascinated by what you do that you stop thinking of yourself outside of actions that you do this moment. You as a whole with your own movements. That's a good example. And in our museum, Newton Park, we see the visitors who are also often so keen on playing with exhibitions and with workshops. They cease to be aware of themselves. Next condition, you should have clear goals, and you should immediately feedback of your task. For example, tennis player always know what to do. He has to hit the ball to the opponent's side. It's a very simple goal for a climber. Yes, he should climb to the ball, and he immediately give feedback where he is. And next, concentration on the task. The ability of the subject, while action lasts, to forget about all his problems. You have to pay 100% of your attention to the task and leave no room for other information. For example, the words of teenager that loves basketball. The only thing that matters is the playground. You can think about some problem all day, but as soon as whistle sounded, everything else goes to the hell, and he in the flow. Next, yes, in our museum, each guest comes to the museum with his own thoughts, but during watching interactive science shows, all his attention is focused on the experiments of the presenter. Yes. No, back please. We select spectator experiments that capture the imagination. Next, please. Next condition, paradox of control. One of important aspect of the flow mode. Yes, it's a sense of control over the situation. You should have clear goals, and you have absence of fear of losing control. Please, next, and next condition. Okay, the loss of self. The loss of consciousness. One more. Yes. It's one of important aspect. Yes. Excessive self-focus requires a lot of mental energy, because in everyday life we often face various problems. In a state of flow, there is no space for such introspection. Activities that make us happy have clear goals, clear rules, and our skill level is enough to do tasks, so we are not in danger. We don't need self-consciousness. And last condition is a transformation over time. Yes. Usually we just count minutes and hours, see nights and days change each other. Not the same in the flow mode. Your occupation depends the flow time. In our museum, we also often hear from visitors that 2 hours in museum passed very, very quick. And when I read this book, and I think it's very, very important for all of us, and you can apply it in your life. And happiness doesn't depend on external factors, but on the internal order. and you can do this order by this concept. Thank you.
I'm here with you, and we're about to watch this, I don't know how to say it, cheerful and happy and truly open-minded person. Used to live in Krasnoyarsk, but right now I'm shutting up and give a microphone to
Justice Walker, farmer, video blogger and online prophet from the Altai region. Justice Walker moved to Russia with his family of Christian missionaries when he was 11 years old. He has been living in Russia for the last 25 years, mostly to the north of Krasnoyarsk, but recently has moved to the Altai, very deep into local goat farming, sustainable agriculture, home education, Christianity, philosophy of positive and rational thinking, as well as spiritual growth.
Greetings, citizens of the world, and welcome to Krasnoyarsk. My name is Justice Walker, and my family moved to Krasnoyarsk and Krasnoyarsk territory in 1994 when I was only 11 years old. I spent the last 25 years in Russia, most of those years spent north of and near and around the city of Krasnoyarsk. So I often think back fondly to the time that I spent there, even though I now live with my family on a small farm, about 240 acres, in the Altai region, which is quite a ways away from Krasnoyarsk. When the organizers of the event that you're at right now asked me to make a little video and greet Krasnoyarsk and greet the wonderful visitors to that beautiful city, I of course jumped at the opportunity, considering it a great opportunity and a great honor to do so. So we're talking about global challenges. The overarching idea of the conference today, or the event, is global challenges. So one of the things that I think about when I think about modern global community, globalization, is the great opportunities that are provided to each one of us. I mean, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, how many of us would have been able to travel across the world and even know about a city like Krasnoyarsk, let alone actually visit it? And so the increasing flatness of the earth, so to speak, the increasing smallness of the globe that we all feel due to technology is a great opportunity for us, because we can travel and experience other cultures, other ways of life, other ways of thinking about things, other ways of doing things, and really gain and add into our toolkit and our knowledge base really wonderful experiences and wonderful new visions of how things can be done. Sharing, community, building those relationships that can really come in handy in our life. But one of the greatest global challenges that's married to this concept, that's actually interwoven into what I've just been talking about, is one of the greatest global challenges of today. Isn't even global warming or income inequality or any of those things that are actually challenges. One of the greatest challenges is the attention span deficit. Because I think we as humans, we're problem solvers. We can solve any problem that can be thrown at us. I think that's one of our great things as being made in the image and likeness of God, is that we are creators, and we can create and we can solve the problems that come up, be that global warming or social injustice, anything. We can solve those problems. But the thing that we have to have in order to solve the global problems, to be an answer to those global challenges, is to have an unadulterated and undistracted attention on a particular issue. And so here I am, kind of a little hypocritical, recording this 5-minute video on attention span, trying to grab your attention and talk about how it's so important to not be distracted. But really, I mean, we can solve issues, but the one thing that we need in the modern age to do that is to stake a claim, to put a stake in the ground and say, this is my field of battle. I'm going to change something in my local area, in my particular neck of the woods. Because we can travel the whole world, either physically or virtually. We can go out to the most exotic and most interesting places in the world, and like I said, put those tools into our toolbox, gain that information, gain those resources in our knowledge to make a change in our local area if we have a local area to go back to. So that the temptation is to think that we can just make a repost in Facebook or like a video on YouTube or make a video on YouTube like I'm doing right now and have some significant deep change. And for the most part, that's a myth. Deep, long-lasting, sustainable change happens when each one of us as a creative human being stakes out a place in the ground and says, I will make a change here. I'm going to make a change in my home. I'm going to make a change in my backyard. I'm going to make a change in my small community. And out of those changes, big changes happen. So I think one of the greatest global challenges, like I said, is having people understand that we can't live on the interwebs. We can't make the real changes there that need to happen in the world. Each one of us has to have that place that we call home, that place that we go back to after our great traveling and our great experiences. And we say, you know what, I may not be able to save the whales, but I can definitely save the water resources that are sitting right underneath my feet here in California or in Kansas or wherever I happen to be. You know, I may not be able to solve global issues with waste disposal, but I can sure figure out how to change that in my own locality. So global challenges, there are a myriad of them, but they all start locally, and the changes to solving those challenges, to solving those issues, have to happen here. As far as I'm concerned, as far as it happens with me, I believe that Russia has a great future. I believe that Russia is destined to become the greatest agricultural power in the world, to feed Asia, China, Pakistan, India, Indonesia, all these countries that are just overwhelming population just south of our borders. It is our destiny to feed the world, and the way that I am see my contribution to that is to act locally, of course, by having this farm here in the Altai and trying to help teach others how to farm, how to do it in a sustainable way, and how we together can really, really move forward and solving the global challenge of sustainable, environmentally friendly food that isn't going to leave a desert for our
some technical issues, my friends. Is online translation working? No? Anyone? Maybe we got internet connection cut off. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's move forward. Sure. Sure, пипец. Okay. Okay, then next, let's move to the next and to the last speaker of our today's conference. And I'm glad to introduce my friend Valery Glushkov, truly a citizen of the world. And right now you're going to listen to the intro. This guy is, yes.
Valery Glushkov, founder of Open Mind Finance, co-founder and CEO in Octopod. Born in Bratsk, Siberia, has been changing locations since young age. Now travels with his wife and kids, has been to 38 countries, have lived in 8 of them, prefers the United States. Businessman, personal growth coach, founder and CEO of international trade company and 2 online schools. His special skill is inspiring people to do things, achieve goals, and feel better.
Hi guys, my name is Valery Glushkov, and today I want to tell you about modern business nomads, when the whole planet is your home. Now I'm gonna switch to the presentation, but I'm stay with you. See you guys. In my presentation, I'd like you to imagine that one of the sunny day you'll go to work to a sandy beach for a couple of hours, and it might give you a possibility to earn more than you did working in the office. Popular idea of being a digital nomad dates several years back with the launch of the internet and new technologies, which helped to extend not only office space but life as well to the size of a planet. Let's see how it works. I'd like to show you another way to life, how you can make it possible if you only choose so. Look at this immigration map. You know that there is places on our planet with a long cold season, like here in Krasnoyarsk where the Universiade takes place. And some people just don't like cold. I don't like it personally, and maybe some of you don't like it either. That is one of the reasons they migrate to other countries. So let's find out there are all these people. Digital nomads migrate. Based on the season, some people travel to Bali, closer to equator. The Bali give them not only sunny days, but happy smiles, tasty food, ocean, and becomes their home for a while. Who are the lucky ones? Sometimes we think these people have chosen, but it's not true. In our trips I meet a lot of people who work online, and today I'd like to share with you 3 real stories, and maybe some of you will decide to start living the life you dream of at the location you always wanted to. These stories are not only for your inspiration. First of all, you need to realize that this is possible to travel the world and work online and earn really good money. The main limit is in your head, so just think about it. Let's start with the story number 1. If you are professional in a corporate world, this is a story is for you. I met Julia and Dima in Cyprus. The island became their home a while ago. They work in corporate world. Julia is an account manager in one of the biggest PR agency in Russia, and her client is one of the world's biggest tobacco leader. Julia manages the team remotely from Cyprus and enjoys 300 sunny days per year and average 20 plus degrees year long. She also can swim in the sea 9 months a year, which I personally think is a good reason for relocating. Her husband Dima is lawyer for one of the Moscow law firms and support his clients remotely as well. How they ended up living in Cyprus? Well, one day they realized they're done spending hours in traffic, enjoy statistically proved 64 sunny days per year in Moscow, and moved to a country with better climate. The only thing they need to do was to negotiate the relocation with employers. They proved that their work effectiveness will rise dramatically due to the fact they won't spend time commuting to work, won't get sick during winter month, etc. And it did work. What they have now, salary stayed the same, effectiveness spiked, level of happiness and life increased. Next story about Stas. Be a digital nomad. Actually, work online, is it the easiest way to be free? Is it? Stas is a classical digital nomad. He works in IT industry and most of the year he lived in sunny Thailand. What are you talking about? What else is recognized as IT? Any IT outsource, programming, customer service, beta testing, IT companies who outsource their stuff. Also, it can be SMM specialist, design, videography, sales, where to search for such professionals or how to become one. There are 2 major websites, actually Workzilla and Fiverr.com. Check it out for your ideas. Next, the 3rd option is be someone like me. Actually, I'm both offline and online entrepreneur, which helped me to visit over 38 countries and live in 8 for the past 6 years. What is the option here? If you are selling something, for example, Amazon sellers is for you. You can outsource this function or create SMM agency. The trend is still on. Major businesses come to Instagram or other social media and they lack qualified SMM managers or traders who sell anything from anywhere. For example, goods from China to US or from China to somewhere, and business owners who were able to automate business processes and enjoy their freedom. It can be any online services and online schools also. I'm sharing this information so you could see the options in front of you. It doesn't matter what is your trade, how much you earn, you always can start changing your life. And now I'd like to show you where you can live with the income of $1,000 per month US dollars. Look at this map. Countries and cities which with more sunny days, more activities, more happiness. Of course, if you rise your level up to $1,300 US dollars, you will have more options opened. Even you rise your level up to 2,500. To check these options, go to nomadlist.com and explore it based on your criteria: Wi-Fi speed, safety, cost of living, and so on. Explore and find the perfect place for you to host your energy level, to boost your energy level and proactivity. What do you need for a start? To find out what professional skills you need to obtain and what are you spending. As for your travel expenses, there is also the way to optimize it. Recently I create online course which is available in Russian, and soon it will be available for our English speaking customers around the globe. This course helps to minimize travel expenses of 600 plus travelers, tickets, rental cars, insurance, accommodation and all other travel expenses from 30 up to 50%. The name of my project is Travelology.pro, and if you are interested, please follow the link and send me a mail so you can become new travel pro. Just remember one thing: we only live once. You might stop being a workaholic. It's time to be a travelholic. Thank you and good luck, guys.
Thank you, Valery. Valery Glushkov, natural born traveler, the guy who has been to like 38 countries. And here is this Shmed Conf is over, my friends, and I once again wanna thank all of you for taking part, for being here, for jumping in and coming up with your ideas, with your talks, with your active listening, guys. And that's all about global challenges for today. And the last challenge for you is I remind you to vote for the speaker you like the most, to the poster. You stick your sticker on the poster. Yes, you donate for the project. Here you got some numbers where you can drop your little amount of money or drop it into a donation box. And thank you very much. Good night. We did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for choosing Shmed Conf. We do hope you enjoyed your flight. Take good care of yourselves and stay people. Your ongoing flight will never stop.